Hi everyone, my name is Ashley. Welcome back to Bella Bookshelf, and today I'm so excited to share with you some of my favorite poems. Poetry is something that is so near and dear to my heart. I was a slam poet when I was in elementary school, and I loved performing slam poetry. I loved writing it, and I was actually a judge for competitions when I was in high school, which was an amazing, extremely challenging, but amazing opportunity. Poetry still runs in my veins, and I'm so excited to share a few of my life-changing favorites with you today. So let's get right into it. So first I want to share with you the thing that got me into poetry, the thing that made me want to write poetry and that inspired me so much when I was young. It is a documentary called Louder Than a Bomb. Louder Than a Bomb is a giant youth poetry competition in Chicago. And this documentary follows 4 teams, the members of those teams, their backstories, and then also has clips of them performing poetry on the stage. And if I never would have seen this documentary, I never would have written poetry. I had never seen anything like slam poetry in my life, and I combined my love for creative writing and public speaking into one thing in an artistic form, and I just owe so much to this documentary. It is so good. There were 2 poems specifically that I still love so much and go back to probably every couple of months that inspired me and inspired my poems. And the first one is Poets Breathe Now by Adam Gottlieb. Adam performed this poem when he was, I think, only 17 years old, and he did such a great job performing this. I had never heard anything like this in my life. He used the most amazing language. He performed this poem with so much zest and so much passion, and it was just literature, poetry coming to life, and I loved it. And it's basically about the writing process, and one of my very favorite lines from that poem that I've written in many, many journals is, "Death may be breathless, but poetry is deathless." I love that line. It's a short poem, so if you're interested, I'll link it in the description box down below and you can check it out. The next poem from Louder Than a Bomb that gave me shivers and that actually inspired one of my poems that did really well in a competition when I was younger is Look by Nate Marshall. This poem used a technique that I thought was so cool. Basically, Nate starts out being like super cocky about his poetry, and he's like, look, this is why I'm a great poet, and I have all these great rhymes, and this is why I'm so amazing. And then he flips it around halfway through and he's like, look, as much as I love performing, it's everything that I've learned from the people that I have met that has changed my life. And he performs this poem so well. My favorite line from this poem is, "A mic, a stage, a pen and a page helped end my rage and mend my days." And I related to that so much when I was younger. I still relate to it. And I think the first part of that actually became the slogan for Louder Than a Bomb for a while. So if you're interested, check it out. I love it. Passion is knocking my notebook over right now. The next poem that I love to death is Point B by Sarah Kay, and if you walk in the world of poetry at all, you probably know Sarah Kay. She has lots of videos on button poetry, but this particular poem is about what kind of mother that she wants to be, and she performed it on a TED Talk. So I'll link it down below. The way that Sarah Kay performs was a huge inspiration for me, and I think she has such a beautiful voice, and she integrates these beautiful movements, and the changes in tone of her voice, her pausing is really amazing, and her writing is so good. Basically, with spoken word poetry, the writing and the performance go hand in hand like this, and if you've got it both, you've got the it factor, and Sarah has the it factor for me. So check that one out too as well in the description box. The last singular poem that I have on my list is a poem that I saw performed live recently at the Toronto Poetry Slam, and it is Alien by Safia Elhillo. I am so thankful that I had the opportunity to watch Safia perform this poem. She's a Sudanese-American poet, and she was the feature poet at the Toronto Poetry Slam. And this poem integrates English and Arabic, and she has a beautiful, deliberate way of performing. It's a bit of a longer one, but you follow both her mother's generation and then also her generation, and I gained insight into a completely new perspective. I just can't recommend this poem enough. If you watch the poem, you like it. She also has an anthology called The January Children that I devoured, and I just got this anthology 2 or 3 months ago, and I think I've already read it twice. And I think the way that she integrates 2 languages into poetry, I've never seen that done before, and I think Arabic is such a beautiful language. Her poetry is amazing. So link in the description box below, definitely check that out. I have 2 anthologies actually that I wanted to share with you. The first one is Depression and Other Magic Tricks by Sabrina Benham, and this anthology found me, I like to say, when I was in high school, struggling with my mental health in a sort of very dark place, and I carried this in my bag with me for months and months and months on end. It's just a little anthology, but it had such a big impact for me because it's so easy when you deal with mental health to feel so alone in the world, and this book for me, or this anthology, was a friend. It understood me, and I reread this so many times. I've folded it and underlined and done all sorts of things to it, but if you struggle with mental health, you know someone who struggles with mental health, check this one out for sure. And the last anthology I have that you have probably heard of, so I won't speak too much about it, but Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. If you've watched a few of my videos, you know that I really like Rupi Kaur, but I feel like you have to live under a rock to not know about Rupi Kaur, or at least that's how I feel, so I won't say too much about it. But I do really also enjoy her singular poem, I'm Taking My Body Back, that she performed on TED Talks, and it's about sexual violence, so big trigger warning if you're looking to watch it. But Rupi Kaur has such a unique way of performing. It is a little bit similar to the way Safia performs her poems. Slowly, deliberately, they take you on a journey, they captivate you, and I love watching her perform. I would love to see her live one day, but I will link that video down below as well. That is everything I have for you today. All I have to say is that poetry has played such an important role in my life, and it did take a back burner for a little while. If I could say anything to my younger self and to anyone out there who loves writing, whether it's creative writing or poetry or songwriting or anything, is that even if your inner critic is saying, this is never gonna make any money, this is never going anywhere, if it feeds your soul, just do it. Just do it. Just write and consume poetry, because I think it is such a beautiful way to share life experiences and to heal from trauma, and I'm so passionate about it. So if you're looking to dive into poetry, check out all the poems that I mentioned. If you are a poetry connoisseur, I still think you'll enjoy these. And if you have any recommendations for me, poems or anthologies that you love, please share them with me in the comments. I love to hear about what kind of poetry people like to read. So that is basically all I have for you today. I've been working hard on getting through my Asian readathon list, and I'm so excited to do a wrap up at the end of the month. I have a ton of great ideas for the months to come about videos that I want to do. So if you want to follow along with my journey on BookTube, click that red subscribe button down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!